Tatalakayin natin ngayon ang laws governing or affecting private schools. In education, the Spanish friars established many schools and colleges and a university all over the Philippines. In 1863, Educational Decree of 1863 was promulgated. Under this law, it mandated for the establishment of a pre-primary school for boys and a free primary school for girls in each pueblo. Under this law, all private schools and colleges that were established by the friars and others were placed under the authority or regulation of the state. At the end of the Spanish era, Filipinos were considered to be one of the most educated people in Asia and Pacific. The literacy rate in the Philippines was one of the highest in Asia. December 1898, the Philippines or Spain and the United States entered into a treaty in Paris, wherein Spain, having lost the war against the United States in their naval warfare, ceded certain territories or colonies to the United States, one of which was the Philippines. So the Philippines became a colony of the United States starting December 1898. In 1901, by the authority of the President of the United States of America, the United States Philippine Commission enacted Act Number 74. This law established the Department of Public Instruction, now known as the Department of Education. Under this law, it appropriated the sum of $40,000 for the organization and maintenance of a normal school and a trade school in Manila, and this appropriated also the sum of $15,000 for the organization and maintenance of an agricultural school in Negros. The normal school that was established in 1901 under this law is now known as the Philippine Normal University. At the same time, in 1901, the National University, a private school, was established in the Philippines. Under this law, the Chief Executive Officer was the General Superintendent, and the General Superintendent was authorized to appoint teachers, first to establish schools in each pueblo, and was authorized to hire teachers and clerks. The General Superintendent was also authorized to hire 1,000 teachers from the United States of America. And on the basis of this, 600 American teachers came on board SS Sheridan and 400 on board the ship SS Thomas, and they are collectively known as the Thomasites. The General Superintendent was authorized to divide the entire archipelago into not more than 10 schools divisions, which includes the City School Division of Manila, and was authorized to appoint the superintendents of schools, including the Superintendent of Schools of Manila. It was authorized under this law to establish a local school board in every municipality, in every pueblo. The person heading this local school board was the superintendent in charge where the municipality falls under his or her school's division. Under Act Number 74, it was really very confusing to the people whether this department has supervision and regulation over private schools, since the name itself is Department of Public Instruction. A lot of people believe that this department was only for public schools. It does not govern private schools. More so, if we are going to look at the provisions of this Act Number 74, out of 27 sections, there is only one section pertaining to private schools. And it provides under Section 25 of this law that nothing in this act shall be construed to impede or forbid the establishment and maintenance of private schools. There is nothing said about regulation of private schools. Nothing is said about supervision of private schools. So it was not clear when this Act Number 74 was enacted on whether the Department of Public Instruction has supervision and regulatory power over private schools. In 1906, Act number 1459 was enacted. This act established the corporation law. Now, what is the importance of this act, or what is the relation of this act to private schools? Under Act number 2706 in 1917, to be given an approval and given authority to operate as a private school, the applicant school must first incorporate. Under Batas Pambansa 232, under Section 25, it requires that all applicant schools must first incorporate as a non-stock, non-profit educational institution. In 1994, under RA 7798, it amended Section 25 of Batas Pambansa 232. Under this law, educational institutions may incorporate now as a non-stock, non-profit or a stock corporation. So, dun sa Batas Pambansa 232, kailangan ang eskwelahan ay incorporated as a non-stock, non-profit. Pagdating naman sa 1994, yung 7798 na RA, applicant school may incorporate as a non-stock, non-profit or it may incorporate as a stock corporation. Pagdating ng 1917, the National Assembly enacted 2706. This is an act making the inspection and recognition of private schools obligatory for the Secretary of Public Instruction. Yung inspection at saka yung pag-recognize ng private school naging mandatory dito sa 2706. Under Section 1 of Act number 2706, it provides that it is the duty of the Secretary to maintain a general standard of efficiency in schools and colleges. And towards this end, the Secretary was authorized to watch and inspect every school and colleges. Under this law, as I said, an applicant school is required to incorporate under Act 1459, otherwise known as the Corporation Law. This law requires that a school to operate has to get an authority or permit first from the Secretary of Public Instruction. And to do that, it has to file an application or a petition to operate a private school. And this petition must state therein the name of the school, the address of this school, the names of the directors and officers of the school, the date when it is incorporated, the date when it was organized, the amount of capital invested, the list of teachers, the curriculum to be used, the description of buildings and facilities. So, kailangan maipakita dun sa petition na itong school has the capacity to provide instruction to the public. Dito nagsimula ho yung concept na permit and recognition. This is the basis for the issuance of certificates and diplomas and yung mga transcript of records na authorize yung school to issue. So, under this law, after 1 year, the Secretary of Public Instruction may issue a certificate authorizing the school to operate. After 1 year, if the Secretary is satisfied that the school was managed in a very efficient manner, in a satisfactory manner, and it furnishes adequate instruction to the public, it will give recognition. This recognition allows the school to issue certificates, diplomas to their graduates who have finished the course, and they will enjoy the same benefits as other graduates recognized by the government. Under Act 2706, the Secretary was authorized to appoint a Commissioner of Private Education. This Commissioner of Private Education was authorized to inspect all applicant schools. Those schools applying for a permit or recognition, it is the Commissioner of Private Education who was authorized to inspect. And it is the duty of the Commissioner of Private School to inspect these schools and report and recommend to the Secretary of Public Instruction regarding the fitness of the school to provide adequate instruction to the public. That was in 1917. In 1923, the National Assembly enacted Act 3075, which amended Act 2706. Whereas in Act 2706, any school who advertises itself to have an authority from the secretary to operate a school when if in fact it does not have such authority, or it announces that it has a pending application for authority to operate a school when in fact it does not have, shall be held liable criminally, and the penalty for that is a fine not exceeding 500 pesos or imprisonment not exceeding 6 months. So, hanggang 1923, hindi pa klaro kung ang Department of Public Instruction has the authority or the power to supervise and regulate private schools. This was resolved in the 1935 Constitution.